Bienvenidos a la Midwest Flyways podcast. I am your host, Joey Basayo. I have Cal Ness. We are here at the Game Fair Studios, which is brought to you by Ducks Unlimited and Onyx and all of our other great people. We have a very special guest. I've been trying to get him on our podcast, but he's been big leaguing me for years.
A very special guest.
Very special guest, Ashur Tolliver from Dive Bomb.
And that's just so kind, that introduction. And that opener, that was something.
You don't forget it.
Impressive.
You won't forget it.
I love it.
It's got to be memorable.
Glad to be on here with you guys, man.
Dude, thank you for coming. You're one of my favorite people in the industry, and I'm so excited that you're here. We've been trying to do this forever. So
that means a lot, man.
Dude,
I feel the same way about you guys. Always love seeing you. Love seeing your faces. Great guys, always positive. So I'm glad to be here.
Thanks, man.
The craziest thing about the duck hunting industry is the, optics, right? Because there's so much of this company doesn't like this company, and Joey and I's stance from day one has just been like, we're all about people that love to hunt ducks and geese. And I feel like as we've developed a relationship, we very much vibe on that level right now together. So that's very exciting, man. And definitely. I kind of want to open this right with a little bit, like, if you just want to give us kind of, what's your mission statement right now? Like at Dive Bomb, what are you guys all about?
I guess right now the thing that we really focus on is it's no secret that we've grown a lot, like pretty quickly. I don't want to say like pretty quickly, because we were established since 2011, but from the time we really started to take off, we've grown really fast. And one thing that I try to always remember and try to drive home, to our guys or anybody that works for us, is that no matter how quick we grow or how many new products we add, we need to, you kind of, it's like, goes back to my baseball career, like from the time you move up from single A to double A to triple A to the big leagues, you don't ever change who you are or the way you pitch. It's just a different level. And for Dive Bomb, I feel like the foundation of good customer service, really valuing people and customers as another waterfowl hunter, and how can I help this guy, or how can we apply our products to his situation, that personalized experience. So like, no matter how busy we get or the size we grow to or products we add, we still need to keep that, like, it needs to have that personal feel, because that was the foundation of Dive Bomb. So I guess through the growth and all that, which has been amazing, and the people that have been involved with it in the past, present, and those to come, keeping that personalized feel with Dive Bomb with our customer base, whether it's here at Game Fair, whether it's via email,
Facebook
to customer
page,
service, to Facebook page, an Instagram DM, a story mention. Like, you got to engage with your customers. You got to make them feel special, because they are special. It's about relationships, and doesn't matter how big we get, how fast we grow, that cannot change. Can't remember what got you to the dance. So that is, I would say, that's our foundation. We got to keep that no matter what moving forward.
Yeah, man. One thing you guys have done that's just blown my mind, the way that you guys have reached people, right, is the traveling that you guys do, and the outfitters you guys go see, and the videos, and making your own content. And like that whole, I think you guys were really ahead of the game, and I think you still are, in terms of how you guys are reaching your community by putting people out there and sending you guys all over and hunting with all these people. You guys are for the people, and you're kind of in and among the people that really are using your product, right?
Yeah,
and that's different than what a lot of companies do.
Sure. I mean, we try to create a nice blend in our content between hunting with, guide service and outfitters that have used our products for years and they're pushing us. Just individuals in the community that have been hunting a certain area for a long time, and they've been supporting the product and say, hey, come out, why don't you come hunt with us? Just going to hunt with somebody and then blending in our own, freelance type of stuff. So trying to find that blend in the content between, people that are doing it for a living, people that are doing it for fun, and then us kind of going out and doing it on our own and hitting all these different flyways and areas where we can be relatable to these people and the way that they hunt in their area, and not just saying, okay, well, I'm from Arkansas, I'm just going to stick to, the flooded timber or flooded rice field. But hey, because I didn't grow up a goose hunter. I mean, I'm 36, and Dad started taking me along when I was 4, so I've been hunting a long time.
Yeah.
But like, I haven't been, Scott, trying to I haven't been goose hunting the way. I mean, he's a absolute legend in the sport, and he's been doing it since he was a kid. I didn't grow up like a goose hunter like that. I grew up a duck hunter. So getting out and seeing traveling over the last like 7 years, and seeing the way people do things in different areas and learning that and absorbing it and taking it on my own and applying that to how we can help customers when they reach out has been awesome. And then just kind of reaching people in all these different flyways and different parts of North America and even beyond at times. So yeah, the traveling's great, and it allows you to stay relatable to your community.
Yeah, man, for sure.
I feel like you guys really kill it on customer service, because whenever I like wanted to get something shipped, it's literally there.
The Facebook page is crazy. I mean, people being like, oh, I had this thing happen, and you guys are taking care of it. It's just unreal, man.
When you're responding to it, dude.
Yeah,
you are the one responding to it, which is
difference.
crazy to me.
There's so much. It's a competitive space, and there's a lot of really, really good companies out there that offer great products at good prices. So how else can you beat people? I mean, it's funny, you'll release a decoy and somebody's like, wow, that looks like so-and-so's. It's like, what's a mallard duck? And it was a unique carving. Were we supposed to make the head purple? It's like, there's so many products out there that are good quality products backed by good people.
Yeah.
And you got to find ways to separate yourselves, because it's not the big things that are going to make the difference. It's checking all the little small boxes, the little attention to detail. How quick are you getting back to a customer? How quick are you shipping something? How quick are you getting to them when they have a question about a product? That might be the difference between them going with Dive Bomb and them going with a competitor, because the competitor, they probably make a great product that customer could be successful over. But if they have a better upfront experience with us and we're checking all these little boxes, they're likely to come back and be Dive Bomb people.
Yeah.
So you got to find ways to separate yourselves from the competition when you're in a space that's as tough as ours, because there's good people that sell great products out there. We're very much aware of that, and we've got to find ways to beat people consistently in all areas. That's our goal.
Can you tell us a little bit about your trajectory? Like, did you ever see yourself in this industry? Like, as a kid, was it a dream to be like, I want to work around duck hunting in some way?
No, not really.
Because you were playing baseball.
Yeah.
You played in the pros.
That's what I wanted to do. I mean, obviously, that was great. I played professionally 10 years and had parts of 2 seasons in the big leagues. But going through that, naturally, your goal is to hopefully play at that level, in the show for, 10 years and make a ton of money and retire at, 37, 38 years old with, plenty of money in the bank. And, playing minor league baseball, most of my career was in AA and AAA. So I didn't make that much money. And so, always looking for side hustles and ways to make money, and then ultimately met Cody. I had a marketing background, and, I was pretty active in the early days of, like Instagram, and when that started popping off. And so that was big, being on the front end of that and just working out these little side deals with Cody. And there's 4 or 5 other brands out there that were pretty big brands that, I wouldn't discuss them now just because of, I'm with Dive Bomb, but I literally created their social media for them. That's kind of what I did to make a little bit extra money. So the goal was never really to be in the outdoor industry. My goal was to make a lot of money in the big leagues. And but our plans don't always align with the plans that God has for us.
That's right.
And I'm very thankful. I'd be lying if I didn't say I wish I wouldn't have played 10 years in the big leagues and made $100 million. It'd be crazy to say that was not a dream. But I'm very thankful for where I'm at and the way things have worked out. To be involved in waterfowl. I mean, the 2 things I love most, other than God and my family, have always been baseball and duck hunting. Yeah. So to turn those 2 things into a job, that's a real blessing. That's pretty cool. So no, I didn't envision, because I didn't think there was, I guess, enough money to be made. I mean, not that. You know how it is. I mean, when you're coming up and growing and you get a mortgage and you get married and you start having kids, I mean, obviously it's scary.
It's risky,
you got to make some money. Life is expensive. I mean, look at, we were talking about it coming up the hill. Look at interest rates and mortgages and inflation. Like, it's scary. And
it's crazy.
When you get out of the house and mom and dad aren't propping you up anymore. All those bills that just magically got paid, well, there was somebody paying them.
That's right.
You figure that out real quick. So obviously you're kind of thinking about money. And I guess in my mind, when I thought of duck hunting, there wasn't really any money to be made.
Yeah.
But met a guy named Cody Stokes, and we just formed this great relationship, and this amazing thing has happened, and the trajectory's been awesome, and thankfully it has turned into a career.
And he's such a wild man.
Well, he's so fun to work for.
He's so funny.
Yeah, he's a wild card, man. There's nobody in the world I'd rather work for. He's just awesome, man.
Do you have some good Cody stories you can share with us?
That you can share.
Oh, man. I got a lot of Cody stories, a lot of good ones. Any that just come like right off the top of my head that really just stand out from the others, probably not. But I've got a lot of really good memories with him over the years from traveling, and some of the early years of dive bomb and visits to St. Louis, and some of the early hunts we went on. And
what was the first outfitter you guys went to together?
Well, I don't think he actually went with me. I think we'd kind of started talking about doing this kind of traveling thing, and this was while I was still playing baseball.
Yeah,
I was going to start traveling in the fall, and I guess one of the first outfitters that I visited, I can't remember what would have been the very, very first like official trip, but it would have had to been either Stanfield.
Yeah.
I visited Ben Webster at Big Kansas pretty early on.
Yeah.
Many years ago. But I want to say it was Jeff and Andy down there at the Big Honker Lodge. Yeah. But that first year, didn't go on just a ton of trips, maybe like 4, which was a lot, coming off of being gone 8 months for baseball season, went on like 4 trips. And the next year it turned into, 10. And it turns into 20.
But what are you at a year? Like, how many places are you going a year? I feel like it's 30 plus.
Yeah, pretty easily. As a group, our out of house marketing, I mean, we'll easily cover probably 120 days in the field.
Oh my
every
God.
year. Yeah, but I'll probably be out there for probably 70 or 80. Jake, I've kind of got some beef with Jake right now because we both fly United a lot, and he's out of Denver, which is a major United hub.
Totally.
And he had a little thing on his backpack, and he's United Platinum.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And the highest I've ever gotten was gold. And he gets upgraded to first class. I mean, they think he's a big swinger because how much he traveled. I mean, Jake and Jordan, they both live on the road, but Jake has really got some creds with United Airlines. And it kind of frustrates me when this guy that's like 25 that's been working for me for not even 3 years.
Perks.
I walk on the plane, I'm in like group C, and he's in the front row with his legs crossed, and he's got his drink already, and I'm going back to the seat next to the toilet that doesn't recline, So he's got serious creds with United, but man, these guys burn their road up, and Jordan does too. He's probably keeping it low key, and he's got a lot of creds with American Airlines coming out.
Well,
of Dallas,
they're pros at traveling with guns and traveling with camera gear.
They don't carry guns. They don't. No, they're camera guys, man. I mean, I'll put them behind the gun sometimes if grab the camera from them, but no, they don't even really care to shoot. I mean, we'll let them shoot, but no, they carry their cameras.
Like, is it worth us buying a license for a day to shoot a limit type of a deal?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the hunt. If it's a unique deal where we're doing a small like gentleman thing, maybe like 4 guys or something, we'll buy one. We'll give them a gun, but I'd say 50-60% of the time they'll have a license, and the other time it's just straight camera. Don't even touch a gun. So.
Guys, this podcast is also sponsored by First Light. Let me tell you, I cannot say enough good things about First Light, especially about the rugged wool and all the new waterfall products that they're coming out with. They've just came out with a bunch of new pairs of pants. The 308 pants are amazing.
Primer jacket just came out.
I cannot say enough good things about First Light waterfowl. Be sure to go to their website, firstlight.com, and check out what they have in stock. I wanted to go back to the Cody thing real quick. Your Cody reminds me so much of my dad. It's hilarious, and it's not in like a weird father way. It's just like he just makes split-second decisions with so much behind it. It's incredible, and my dad always did the same thing. Like, my dad would be like, man, how are we going to grade this property? It's going to really suck with this. We should probably buy a Bobcat with tracks on it.
Yeah.
And it's just like $80,000.
Yeah.
What do you mean? You just like at a split drop of second. it's just like, whoa.
Yeah.
And I've been with Cody, and he's like, we should make that. And then there's all this money behind it. And it's just, that's a good idea. Yeah. Let's do it. And it's right now. It's like, real. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's just crazy to me. And there's very few people in the world that just do that.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he can. He keeps you on your toes. That's for sure. Always.
Yeah.
You know, but I love the expectation we have. Everybody's got high expectation. I mean, Jake and Jordan, I hold them to a really, really high standard. I mean, if you put them on this podcast and told them it wasn't airing, they might have some choice words about me. You know, I mean,
sure. Right.
I think they probably, I'm probably a pretty hated guy at times, but I know they love me too. You know,
right.
But they,
you guys all seem
off.
like family.
They're awesome. We are, but we fight like family sometimes too.
Yeah.
When things aren't going the way that we need them to go.
Yeah, Cal and I are brothers
those guys
too.
are dogs, man. They're absolute dogs. They are workers. I'm so thankful for those guys. I hope we keep them around forever.
Nice.
But yeah, Cody's a wild man. He keeps us all on our toes, and but we love it. What'd you say he calls you?
Uncle Doug.
Uncle Doug.
Cody calls me Uncle Doug. Thinks that I look like his Uncle Doug. I'm like, there is zero shot that I look like your uncle, dude. He still hasn't showed me a photo yet.
I'll have to ask him about that next time I see him.
We gotta see if Uncle Doug looks like Joey.
I don't think so.
I bet he does.
It's very important.
When people say I look like someone, it's never what I look like. Yeah. It looks like a Beavis and Butthead impersonator, you know? It's like, sweet. Sure. You think I look like that? Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
It's just like you didn't look in the mirror, though, maybe.
Right. So here's another question for you guys. Is there anything that you're not going to come out with? Because I feel like you guys were just with silhouettes, and then you came out with floaters, which I was so pumped about. And now you're coming out with full bodies, right? And now you came out with A-frames, dog training stuff, waders,
clothing,
dry line. What aren't you going to come up with, dude? You just looking at the market, or are you just looking at your customer base and you're like, they really want us to make this, we should make this. I don't know if we're going to make a whole lot of money on it, but this is what.
A little bit of both. You know, we're so customer driven. That's what's cool about, direct to consumer and being so active online and social media is, well, you see these common trends and what people like want or what they've got and where it's lacking.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything off limits.
That's sick.
Yeah.
No, I'll just leave it at
well,
that.
now, yeah, with Cody Stokes.
Yeah. I
are you going to create your own boat motor, bro?
I wouldn't be comfortable saying that something was off limits because I could say that and like next week I could get an email. Like,
yeah. Cody'd be like, we're doing boats now.
Yeah. So, yeah, if it can be used waterfowl hunting, yeah, it's probably not.
It's on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's sick, man. Can you tell us like do you have some cool, stories that you want to share with us from any of the outfitters that you've been to? I can personally like bring up one that just seeing it, just so epic. That creek in Wyoming.
Yeah, it's special.
Can you tell us about that and like that hunt and that whole
made
place?
Me very upset.
I mean, that's
and
unbelievable.
Jealous.
Yeah,
that was ridiculous.
Yeah, it's Kurt Johnson, the guy out there. He's a great friend. We've been going to see him for a lot of years now. Him and his wife, just good people. And it's a special spot. Warm water, doesn't freeze up. I could walk across it in these ankle boots.
You probably jump across it, bud.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how wide it is.
It's it can be -20 and the steam's coming off of it, and it's special. It's not. It's a traffic hunt. The problem is, or not the problem. The thing is, there's no open water. So when they come over you and they see the open water and the decoys and a little bit of calling to convince them, it's a done deal, and you're shooting them really, really close. Last year was a bit of a struggle because that was one of the first times we've been there that it just wasn't cold at all.
Yeah, and
when it's not cold and everything's open, the
warm water doesn't matter as much.
It's not near as appealing, right? I mean, so last year was a bit of a struggle. That was actually our best day. Was an all-day hunt from morning until, it was literally all day. From
what time of year was it?
Gosh, it was November.
Well, that makes sense.
Mid-November. So, it was, 4:30 to 6 o'clock in the evening day. Ooh. Yeah, long days, all day hunt, just tough. But yeah, it's
you're
special.
You're shooting ducks with 28 gauges from 4 feet
410
away.
So we shot our
410
yesterday. I mean, not yesterday. Last year we had a side by side 410.
Oh my God!
Had a 28 out there and a 20. He doesn't even allow big guns anymore.
Can't have a 12.
First time I went out there, we took a 12 gauge. The first time or two, and
too much.
Yeah, way too much. We did have a hunt out there about 3 years ago. We went 15 for 15 on greenheads.
I saw that one.
15
so
shots,
sick.
15 greenheads. The day before that, I think we shot. I think it's a 5 mallard place, if I'm thinking right. I believe it's a 5 mallard spot.
Yeah, they're 5 over there.
And I think we had shot 25 the day before. Kurt had brought a friend, maybe 2 friends. I can't remember. Maybe it was 20. And I think it was like 22 shots, 20 birds, or something like that. I mean, it was strong.
Really clean
It was
shooting,
strong.
yeah.
And I was like, man, because I knew the next day. So, yeah, it was 4 people, 20 mallards, and I think we went 22 shots, 22 or 23. And I knew the friend
That's
wasn't
wild when you're
back.
Counting your shots, dude.
Yeah, I knew the friend wasn't coming back the next day. Well, I mean, most of the time you're shooting one at a time and sometimes a pair.
Right.
Or you'll say, hey, these 2 coming in, you 2 will be the shooters. You shoot the one on the left, you shoot the one on the right. And the next day I knew the friend wasn't coming, and I was like, man, we should try to go 15 for 15, like super clean, all green.
Yeah.
And we did. It was
That's
really,
so sick,
really
man.
cool.
Did you guys go Annie Oakley style then? Just like one down. All right, you're up, you're up, you're up.
And then if a pair came in, sometimes we would just like, hey, shoot. If it was a pair of greenheads, like, hey, go ahead and shoot that double, and then we'll skip you next time. But it's funny. Dive bomb. A lot of people think, which we don't do it as much these days, like the big hunts and the big numbers. We did that a lot more, like 5, 6
that's
years
smack 'em
ago,
hunt.
Just like really stacking them up. And, we just don't do that as much anymore. I hate to say it. It's not as fun. It's just not, it's not as fun, man. When you just load a blind with that many people, and sometimes we're involved in it just because that's where we're going, and that's
what they're doing.
That's how many clients they have.
If you had a choice.
But yes, and now I'm a lot more selective with where we go and when, and want to know and how many people's there and how many's coming. So that's why you don't see it as much these days, because now as we've grown, well, obviously you have a lot more leverage to decide when we want to come and how we want to hunt, because we've got the leverage to come there. I mean, said very humbly, we could hunt a lot of different places. We don't have to just go to where you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Totally.
we have the leverage to be able to say, hey man, like, let's make sure if we're going to come these dates, let's pick a time frame where we're keeping this thing down.
It's not only
if we need
that.
to do a Monday, Tuesday instead of a Saturday where you've got a bunch of people, let's keep it below, so that's why you don't see it as much, because it's just, we don't like it as much. And those hunts like that where you've just got a few guys out there and you can pick them off, or you just got 2, maybe 3 guys going at a time.
Not only that,
That's
you
our
can
favorite,
have
man. So that's why you see so much of it
for
now.
sure.
You can actually have a conversation with people and get to know them better on those smaller hunts. And it's not just we have to
4
kill
A-frame stretched out, and you get out of the blind. You've been on those hunts. You get out of the blind at the end of it, and you're like, I didn't know there was a chick hunting with us today, or I didn't know there was a kid.
I didn't know that dude was sitting down there.
End, or I didn't know there was an 80-year-old man down there on the end.
Yeah, you have no idea what they talked about the whole day.
There's a teenager. I had no idea he was in the blind down there. Whoever it was.
Yeah.
But you've been on those hunts before, 4 or 5 A-frames stretched out, and no offense to anybody that does that. That's totally fine. But just for us, personally, it's not as fun. I mean, it's just not. It's not as fun.
It's not personal.
It's not personal. It's not as fun. And 2, the footage and the content, people don't like it as much. When you get people like big rainouts, but they don't like them at the cost of a steel wall from 20 shooters coming up and it just pure chaos. They would rather see a nice rainout from 6 or 7 really good, precise shooters, and it's not like doom and 6 fall.
Yeah.
They would rather hear doom and 6 fall.
Yeah, for
you know
sure.
what I'm saying? It's way better content. The footage is way cleaner. And when you don't have that many people, I mean, there's a lot less moving parts. There's, You're typically able to get better quality decoying, get birds in a little bit tighter. There's just a little less going on. Instead of shooting them at 60, I'd be shooting them at 30.
Well, and you obviously understand this, but I mean, at the end of the day, right, the best content is the most relatable content.
Right.
And the most relatable content is not having 20 dudes in a blind and shooting 140 birds.
Right.
That's not that relatable. Not that many dudes do that.
Right.
There's a lot more guys that go out with 2 or 3 of their best buddies, and they have one of those great days.
I mean, how many people have 5 dozen V2Fs in a bag and they go hunt with 3 people? Or how many have 2 dozen floaters and they go sit in the cattails with their buddy? Like, way more people are doing that. And again, I want to say this again, that's nothing against anybody that does that. We'll still have hunts in the future that you'll see big numbers. We'll go to Canada and shoot doubles and you'll see big numbers. I'm not saying we're against big numbers and outfits that hunt big groups, but it's just for us, and everybody knows that. We made that very clear. People know, they know I'm a duck hunter. They know that I like hunting with smaller groups of people. And honestly, anytime you have ducks, typically when it comes to content, you guys probably know this too, it's no secret. Anytime you have ducks, especially the ones with green on their heads, and you combine water.
Spoonbills.
The Alabama mallard. That content does better than everything else.
Oh, yeah.
Geese, unless there's just something really cool or wild that happens, shoot a bunch of bands, shoot a rivet, shoot a net collar, maybe early season when people are fired up. But geese, specs, whatever, they're fun to hunt, but they don't perform the way ducks do on socials. It doesn't
More
matter.
mallards.
Doesn't matter if it's Instagram, if it's Facebook, if it's a YouTube video. Ducks over water, and if they're mallards, they reign supreme.
Yeah,
so,
man.
Right.
And that's great because that's my favorite anyway. I know you don't like shooting mallards. Cal, I know you do.
What?
But,
Yeah. Joey
More
hates
ducks,
mallards.
please.
Yeah, man. So you grew up hunting in Arkansas. So you're a timber guy. That's in your blood. And tell me, like, growing up, what was the moment for you where you were like, I'm completely in love with duck hunting?
Man, right out of the gate, my dad started taking my brother. This place called Anderson Minna Farms. It was in Lone Oak, Arkansas, like 25 minutes up the road. And it was shooting scrap ducks. It was shooting ruddies and bluebill and scop every once in a while. I guess bluebill and scop's the same thing, isn't it?
It is. Yep.
Yeah, ruddies, bluebill. You could run into an occasional real trophy, canvasback or a redhead. That was a big deal. Run into a bluebill. Not a bluebill, bufflehead. That's what I meant to say.
There you go.
Bufflehead. So we would sit on the levees out there, and they actually had like depredation permits. So they had workers that would drive around and they'd shoot like bottle rockets. So they'd be sitting in the middle of the ponds, and they would put you on levees, and they'd shoot like bottle rockets and stuff at them because the birds would get smart and they'd congregate in the middle of the ponds.
Yeah.
Well, they've got permits because they're eating. They're taking their money, eating their minnows, so they could drive around. They could shoot
Spread
at them with
out.
22s, whatever. Well, they would shoot bottle rockets at them, and they'd scare them like over your head, and you'd be sitting on these levees. There was no decoys.
Oh, that's
really
so
like
sick.
glorified dove hunting.
Yeah.
And just fell in love with it. And I shot my first. I would like to think I was involved in killing a duck before this, but 1997, first confirmed solo bufflehead.
Nice.
But I had been hunting. I'd been shooting my little single shot 20 gauge for a few years.
Yeah.
And there was, my dad and my brother probably killed all of them. I'd like to think that I killed one out of
Sure.
before
Yeah,
that.
man.
But first solo,
Yeah.
walked off, went on a mission, and had one come over and killed it was a Drake bufflehead. It was 1997. I've got it on my wall. My
Hell
brother
yeah.
got it mounted for me for Christmas. I still
Nice.
got its crusty little bufflehead, and it means everything to me.
This podcast is also brought to you by Onyx Hunt, and I wanted to just talk about one of my favorite new features that Onyx is continuing to work on improving, and that is recent imagery. It is such a helpful tool if you're going to be going to some place to hunt that you can't get to all the time. And the way it works is you can literally go on there, pick an area, and request satellite images. And the images are taken within a 2-week period from the time that you're requesting these images, which is incredible because when you're trying to find water, especially, or if you want to see if the area is glowing yellow with corn, this is the best way to do it without having to actually drive however far you're going to be going to do this hunt. So check out onxhunt.com. Use our code MWF20 for 20% off your membership. And if you have a membership now, then don't forget to cancel it and sign back up with our discount code.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Our children are hungry. We need to feed them. Thank you.
I've been addicted, and then, you know, of course, once you get into that and you start getting older and you meet people that waterfowl hunt, then you start hearing about this stuff about, you know, rice fields and buckbrush sloughs and flooded timber. So then that starts to catch your interest.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, wow, I didn't know, like, you set out decoys and, like, called it these things. You know, so by the time I'm, like, you know, 9, 10, I'm like, I'm a little more enamored with this concept of setting out these decoys and stuff. So then every Christmas I'm asking for mallard floaters. Dad meets somebody at work, you know, they've got some rice fields or knew somebody in family that was a rice farmer.
Take me and my son,
Pit
please.
blinds, yeah. So then kind of got into that. By the time I was like 10, 11, 12, kind of started figuring out the whole calling decoy thing. This is amazing. Well, then you know, you're around some friends that have some dads that's been doing a while. You start hearing about this flooded timber, public timber stuff, you know, Biomeda, every DU magazine that ever comes out, you know, the Holy Grail.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, that's an hour and 15 minutes from my house. You know, wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, take the 7.5 Mercury with my buddy.
Let's go.
15 with a hardship. Drive
Let's
down
go.
there and just absolutely get our asses handed to us. I mean, day in and day out.
The first time you get out there, you're so lost. You're
Halfway
just like,
sink the boat. You know, and these days, if people that are listening, if you ever been to Biomeda, it's all cleared out. You've got a boat lane. You got a trail with trail markers, brushy sloughs cleared out. The blue line has got markers. It wasn't like that back then. That it was grown up. It was like little meandering trails through, and then you get to the no idea. We didn't out there with Onyx maps. I'm talking about 15 years old, and everything looks the same. Flooded timber. I had a little handheld Garmin GPS map that, you know, I halfway knew how to use.
Yep.
And we just got our asses kicked day in and day out. And I remember one time we shot 3 mallards, and you would have thought coming out of there in that probably 1975 Duracraft with the 7.5 Mercury that never started, you'd have thought we had the biggest swingers in that parking lot with those 3 mallards. I mean, it was like we had really done something. But to finally figure out, because we had listened to the show, you know, for many, many days, day in and day out.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Doom, doom, doom.
Totally.
You know, I mean,
Sounds like you're in a war zone.
Couple kids out there, and we finally, you know, watching them break through the trees and do it to the water, it was like, wow. And then from there, it just kind of turned into this, like, totally obsessed with it, like scouting in the summer, like trying to find holes, which typically when you're scouting, you're looking for ducks more than holes. But in Biomeda, you know, it's good to know where your different holes are in different areas, you know, and they'll get in tighter stuff as the season goes on and more pressure. But going in there in the summertime with a mountain bike and riding around and walking miles and finding spots and just becoming totally obsessed with all these WMAs in the area and trying to figure out water levels and what that meant. You know, when what got water and what these numbers, what they meant. Was there, was it ankle deep? Was it shin deep? Was it knee deep? Where's the new water? And then learning how the birds move from refuges to rest areas to private land and getting under flight lines, just became totally captivated with all that. And then by the time I got in my 20s, we got to where we're the ones that are boom, 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 you know, regularly.
It's so foreign to us. And we've gone down to Louisiana, we've gone to Arkansas and some private stuff. I've never been to Biomeda, but it's so foreign. And like how you guys even scout for ducks and like how you know how deep it is right there. Everything looks exactly the same to me. And he's like, no, don't get out of the boat here. It's 8 foot deep. And I'm like, how do you know that?
Right.
How do you know? They're just like in there constantly.
Just experience.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy to me. We have binoculars from the truck and we're like, we're going to hunt that slough.
Right.
You guys are like, we need to set aside an entire day to scout from a boat and drive through the trees. It's just nuts.
It's also one of those things, though, too, which I wanted you to talk a little bit about, having seen the different, not only like cultural differences in hunting, but also like the styles of hunting throughout the country. Because, you know, we have people that'll come here from the South and they show up in North Dakota to freelance or whatever. And, you know, they're, in a way, you could be really lost, you know, doing that too. Like, well, what does this look like? How long do we have to scout for? How do we, you know, is this actually a good place to hunt? Even though there's birds there, how does the hide work? Yeah. So talk about that a little bit. I mean, you've seen it all.
I mean, the waterfowlers in the South, I will say, like guys that, are good in certain areas, it's pretty amazing. Like some of these guys, the flight lines and the water levels and how they know. But the problem is there's probably nobody that's more mad at them than a public timber hunter in the South, because you take your lumps. I mean, even the best. I know the guys that literally will hunt 60 days and they get them a lot. I mean, a lot, like clubs at these places, and they know where the birds are every day, and they'll still get it handed to them. But I've taken a lot of those guys and seen a lot of those guys come up north and out central, and they, when it comes to like tidying up an A-frame or hiding an A-frame or how to do it properly,
horrendous.
brush it properly, how to set a spread, they'll have their decoys on top of an A-frame, or they'll have like a ball of decoys on the right side and a ball of decoys on the left side, and the center gap is open, like the thought that like this is their runway.
Yeah, here they are
with
they
the
can go
A-frame
right here.
sitting in the middle of the gap. So now once those guys figure out the game and they go with somebody that teaches them a little bit,
For sure.
Killers.
they're deadly. They become the guy that like, I'm not sure that's the person that you'd be want to competing with because they're so mad at them. But it's once they figure out the game. Most of the guys in the South, Arkansas, the cut down callers or good duck callers, most of them are really, really poor on a Canada call. I mean, they're just not good on it because they
Naturally.
didn't grow up. And a goose call is much harder to blow than a duck call. I mean, that's a fact.
Yeah.
If anybody argues that, they're just simply wrong. A goose call is much more challenging to blow than
It has
a
so
duck
much
call.
more of a vocabulary.
And very few guys in the South that grow up duck hunters. We don't hunt Canada geese. There's a few, you'll have your resident locals, golf course, but even the guys that have a chance to target those, they don't dedicate to it because it's so inconsistent. So, but when they learn the game, when they learn how to hide, learn how to set spreads, how to understand flight lines, traffic, flagging, calling, they become absolutely lethal.
Well, you can't get the flag out of their hand.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, they're so mad. They're just like constantly flapping the flag.
But I mean, it's different, man. I mean, these guys that are scouting out in the Central Flyway, like you've got to know refuges. You got to know what birds are doing on different weather days, and that's a lot of stuff that only kind of going back to timber. It only comes from that experience in that area, knowing what your birds are doing on different weather days. Like if you're in an area that's got a monstrous holding refuge or different, knowing where massive private land tracts are that hold lots and lots of birds, and where you've got to get or be to intersect these birds. Like there's just a lot that goes into learning different areas. I mean, a lot of times that's why trips that we go on, it's not like you're just going somewhere blind, because if you were doing that, I mean, it'd take you maybe 10 or 12 or even 2 weeks to figuring out an area where you consistently put together a good film.
Totally.
But if you got a good buddy there in an area that you can, he knows that area. Like if somebody's coming to Arkansas and they call me and want to go on a hunt, I'll typically know like where we can go, what we can do. It doesn't mean we're going to go smash them, but our odds of success obviously are going to be much greater than somebody that just rolled in.
Then if we roll in there.
Sure. So,
sure.
Having some local boots on the ground and friends and connections can certainly help. And then year over year, then you kind of start to form your own knowledge of these different areas. So it's
with
greatly different.
With all the places that you've traveled, obviously you've learned a shitload because you're a timber guy.
Yeah.
And so then you go all these other places. What do you feel like is the craziest thing you've learned on the road? It can be duck hunting, it can be goose hunting.
I don't think it's crazy because everybody knows this, but it's staggering how bad most people are at hiding.
Yeah.
Literally the most fundamental thing in waterfowl hunting, other than being where they want to be, and you'll stand by it forever. Number one is being where they want to be. It has to be number one, because if the hide's number two, the hide doesn't matter if you're not where they want to be.
Yeah.
If you don't have birds to see you or give you an opportunity,
Hide your ass off,
well, then
bud.
hide
You ain't
doesn't matter. Exactly. So being where they want to be or where you can make them want to be will always be number one.
Yeah.
Number two is the hide, but for some reason on most people's list, it's like 7 or 8. And it's the most basic principle of being successful. Even the guys in the timber, like not hugging the shaded side of a tree or getting tucked in tight to that tree. The amount of people that will like stick a pole in. I mean, it's just crazy, like how bad most people are at hiding. Like an A-frame, you'll look at it and you're like, you can see this hard line where the base meets the ground, the brush on the top. There's like a total line. If you send a drone up, you can see right down
Black.
the line. And it's like, layout blinds. You
The
got
ends
a
are always
quarter of
terrible.
it that has no brush on it, or you got a dog blind that's halfway brushed, and then you've got a 90-pound lab sticking halfway out of the blind, and he's on the the downwind side or the leading edge of a side chute, and it's just like, oh, I wonder why they're pulling on us. And you've got Roscoe hanging out the blind on their way in. So, I would just like to double down on. Get hidden, like go the extra mile to hide, man, because like all these other things that we're ranking 2, 3, 4, 5, your priorities are wrong if your hide is not absolutely dialed. Because some of the guys I know that maybe aren't like the best callers in the world or the best at setting up a spread, however you want to gauge that or whatever, the guys that consistently kill day in and day out that I know are guys that are good at scouting, and the guys that literally will stop at nothing to have the best hide they can possibly have.
Right. Yep.
I mean, you'll have guys out there moving decoys and changing everything after the first or second group, and you got 2 blinds that hardly have any cover.
How many times have we talked about that?
Oh, man, we're getting obsessive about it. It's getting scary.
It has to be.
Well, people are focusing on their calling and the decoy place. No, dude. You've got, I can see tangle free. On your layout. I shouldn't be able to see
all the brush off of your boot bag.
Are we over calling? Are we under calling? No, man, we need to go brush the blind.
And we talked about this with Stahl the other day, but geese have a 335-degree range of view. People don't think about that, When they fly over you and you think you're safe to move and like turn around, or they still see you, man. Like right now, you know what I mean? And people don't think about that. And ducks have a crazy range of view too, although it's different than a goose. Sure. But especially for us in the north, in any of these areas, if you're hunting geese, it's got to be obsessive.
You have to, man. I mean, it just get hidden. Like absolutely, when you think you have enough brush, the old saying, double it. Literally double it, or double the work that you put in to get hidden. I mean, seriously, that's the way it needs to go. Honestly, we have times when we get to the field. We drop the trailer and we put the A-frame out. Nobody is allowed to touch a decoy bag until that.
Nice.
Dude, those decoys, we can put a freaking silhouette spread out with 6 or 7 hands. If we're putting 10 or 12 or 15 dozen, even if it's 40 dozen, you can set them out in 10 minutes.
Totally.
10 minutes.
But that blind, how many times does the sun come up and you look at the blind, you go stand at it from the spread and you go, whoa. That takes time. That's when you really mess yourself up, is when you got to go mess and get more brush on the blind. So don't even touch a decoy bag until all hands are on deck. You got loppers, you got brush cutters, gathering tumbleweeds, and you might fill 2 full trailers of tumbleweeds to literally turn that blind into a freaking tumbleweed.
Right.
The whole base, the sides, everything is covered. The overhead cover, and then you got guys standing up, breaking out their holes. It's like, dude, don't do that. If you get a good bunch in at 20 yards, you'll figure out a way to get that shotgun through there and get on them.
Yeah, another thing
but you're not going to get them at 20 yards if you got a big hole. Then you're going to be shooting them at 60 if you want to stare at them.
Another thing we started doing last year that I think we will just continue to implement and work on and obsess over is adding a lot more dimension. So we've been, practicing a lot more with like cutting down little trees or, bringing like little bushes and stuff, and you set those in the dirt on the edges and around an A-frame, and it really makes that size of that A-frame just kind of diminish,
Doesn't give it that boxy look.
Right, man.
Sometimes I'm a firm believer that if you can create your own edge in a way, that looks better doing more. Almost like when it's more obvious, but it's really natural.
Right.
Yeah.
Does more than if you just got like one box sitting there.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying?
Nick Johnson told me 6 or 7 years ago, he goes, think of it like this, Joey. You go into your living room and you see a bump underneath your carpet. You're going to go, what is that? Because I've never seen that bump in the carpet before. But if you see a shoe or a toy or something on top of the carpet, you're like, it's just a ditch line.
There.
Yeah. Sure.
It's just a tractor in the field or whatever. And so once I really understood that, and like you just make your own ditch line with layouts, and you're just grass in the middle of the field. It looks better than corn stubbling 13 blinds versus, it's a drain tile, and now there's a bunch of grass in the middle of the field. They don't even think twice about it.
Yeah, I think another thing a lot of people that you see a lot is a lot of people get hung up in thinking that every hunt you have to shoot them right in the face with the wind directly at your back.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of hunts that just don't need to be
Offer
set up that
too.
way because of maybe shooting directly toward a roost that's a little closer than you'd like, or the shadows that are being cast in regard to the direction of the wind, and the way the shadows are possibly being cast onto your spread, especially if it's from a higher profile like an A-frame style blind, or even the direction that the birds are coming from in the thought of shooting them in the face. But in order to do that, the birds are going to have to come over your hide first to hook back. You know what I'm saying? Like, side shoot them in that situation. Like, be willing to make those little adjustments that a lot of just casual hunters going through the ABCs of waterfowl are not doing. And over the course of a season, if you just check, kind of like the dive bomb I was talking about, just checking the little bitty boxes, it's not the big glaring boxes that most people fail to check. It's the little ones. It's the little attention to detail that over the course of a long season will make a difference. Like when you're on a red hot field and in a great spot at a great time frame with the weather and everything's right, I mean, anybody can kill them. I mean, anybody can run into a great hunt skipping a lot of those steps. But when it's mediocre or things get tough, that might be the difference in a shutout and 8 birds. And that might be the difference between 12 or 13 birds and 30 birds. Or even that really great hunt that you put together where you did kill 30. Well, I could have killed 50.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's those little things, man.
Yeah,
just
for
attention
sure,
to detail, having a plan, understanding where they're coming from, what the wind's doing, what the weather's like, how the pressure's been based on your setup, you know.
Being a student of the game.
Exactly, man.
Yeah.
Just
That's
said it better. Be a student
That's the
of the
funnest
game.
part to me, right? It's like, you know, you'll never stop learning how to be a better hunter because everything you do and everywhere you go will be different. And the birds will change, and their, you know, migration patterns will change, and the decoys and the innovation and all of it's going to change continuously. So
100%.
You know, you want to be able to adapt and continue to overview and analyze and look at what you're doing. I know you said you grew up hunting with your dad, you know, and so I wanted to ask you, who would you say you learned the most from? Maybe not only about,
I was going to ask the same shit.
about like just hunting, but maybe what's actually most important about hunting.
Guys, this podcast is fueled by Outlaw Mile High Light Beer. It is fueled. And you know how nice it is to have a beer while you're doing a podcast or just talking with your buddies? You need a beer while you're doing it. This beer is so good. Yeah. I'm so happy with it. And guess what, guys? It is now available in Minnesota, and that is amazing. It's been available in, you know, Iowa and Wisconsin. So if you're in the Midwest, it is available by you. If you want to see where they carry it in your state, you can go to their website and they have a map for it. I'm a huge fan of this beer, and I know you will be too.
Go check it out.
I think the most important thing about hunting, to answer the back part of that question, is obviously we do it as a living, and we need to put up results to be able to sell product, right? Like you have to be able to showcase that a product works to convince somebody to buy it. You've got to hunt over it, and you've got to prove that it works, you know, whether it's a decoy or a jacket, that it works in the rain as advertised. But I think one thing that people do not need to get lost in the world of YouTube and all the great hunts is hunting is still very, very much for fun, and you need to be doing it because you love it. You love it, and you're spending time with people that you care about. That's the fundamental foundation of hunting and why we need to be out there catching a beautiful sunrise on a crisp morning with the people that you want to be around. That is the foundation of hunting, and that's really gotten lost in the era of social media. And that sounds dumb coming from a guy that does social media and a brand for a living, but that is as genuine as it gets.
Yeah.
If I wasn't doing this, it's like the Luke Combs songs, I'd still be doing this if I wasn't doing this. If I was not doing this, I'd still be enjoying sunrises with my dad, my granddad, and my little boys and my daughter whenever I can, because it should mean something, man. Life's short. It goes by fast. You better take it all in. We're so blessed. Those that are blessed enough to be able to take the field healthy, to be able to shoulder a shotgun and watch birds work, or even just you're young and maybe you can't shoulder a shotgun, or maybe your situation, you're just able to get out there. If you can get out into the field, enjoy it. Like, don't lose sight of that, man. This stuff goes by really, really fast. Don't get caught up in everything you see online and in social media about everybody limiting out all the time. Don't compare yourself to another group. We're hunting over 100 days a year. Of course we're going to limit out a lot. We're hunting really target-rich areas with people that are really, really good waterfowl hunting. But don't we're doing this as a living. Like when I hunt at home and I'm not on camera, one of the best hunts I had last year, we shot one Drake mallard and one gadwall. Nobody saw it. It wasn't documented. I was with my son and my dad. It was my favorite hunt of the season, but that's not going to get documented on a dive bomb vlog.
But you got a picture of that shit, don't you?
Absolutely. It's in my living room of my house. My kid's holding two birds like this, and my dad's over my shoulder. Don't get caught up in comparing. It's just like life in general. Don't compare yourself to the Joneses. You do you. Stay in your lane and do what makes you happy. Don't compare yourself to the 10 or 12 green mallard limits that this guy shot. If going out to your public marsh and getting to fire a few shots, or even if you, dude, just be thankful for it. Take it in. Try to continue to learn where you can hopefully improve your success in the field, because it's certainly more enjoyable whenever you walk out with heavier straps, right? That'd be a lie if I said that wasn't true. But man, leave it at what it is. We're out there waterfowl hunting. It's a hobby. It's supposed to be fun. And freaking smile in your pile pictures. Right. Smile.
No doubt.
We just fooled a bird that's a pea-sized brain, and we're mean mugging with our boys. Smile. Put a smile on your face. Show your teeth. We had fun. We're happy. We had a great hunt. Smile, people.
I'm so glad you said
Smile
this,
in your
because
pile pictures. You're not that tough.
Me and Joey have always had this funny parody kind of thing that we do, and because people take the pile pics straight face, like mad at them, right? So have you ever seen our pouty pile pics?
No.
Where we do the
I guess I haven't. No,
pouty faces, dude. So like, dude, we started doing that because
it was like 6 years ago we started doing that.
Seeing people just mad.
It's like, how are you not smiling, bro?
Well, right. It's crazy. It's for fun. We're going out there for fun, man. Like, have fun, smile, smile. We're so fortunate to be able to do this, to live in a place, to be born and live and raised in a place where we get the opportunity to do this. Even if you don't fire a shot, you're lucky. And then if you go out there and kill them, you're even luckier. Like, smile, enjoy it. Like, this is amazing. And you're going to look up, and the years will have gone by, and you're going to look very fondly on these times you're spending now that we're living in right now. We'll look very fondly on this stuff. Our relationship, we'll look up and we'll be 30 years old. And remember, we had that great interview at Game Fair. Like, you look fondly, but when you're in the moment, it's easy to take it for granted.
Yeah, man.
And let it slip by. So, don't let it slip away from you. Take it all in. Don't wish forward to the next hunt or the next season. Take that day, enjoy your time every single day. And when that day gets here, get the most out of that day you can, and then take on the next one, but like, we get to hunt, man. Like, we get to go out, enjoy.
Yeah. We're
God's
able-bodied,
creation.
dude.
Yeah. Enjoy it. Smile in your pile pictures.
Yeah, man. It's funny. Two things kind of on that. Yesterday I was driving home, and we had the party last night. We set this whole booth up, and I'm on the way home, and I'm talking to my wife on the phone, and she's like, "How's it going?" I'm like, it's good. I'm hoping that everything just goes good tonight, and we'll get all this stuff figured out, and then we'll be all right. And then I was thinking to myself, like, as I'm saying it, and I said to my wife, I was like, if 20-year-old me could have known that I'd be interviewing the people I'm interviewing and doing the things that we're doing to try to promote waterfowl hunting, I would have shit myself.
Right.
So I should just shut the hell up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's amazing, man.
It's crazy.
Don't take it for granted.
Yeah.
And use your platform for good. Like, introduce people to the sport. Like,
100%.
Conservation and Ducks Unlimited. And we want this for the future generations. Like, we're not selfish here. I want this for my babies as much as I've got it, So, like, let's do good for the sport. Man, I took a picture with a guy yesterday, and I almost felt bad. Like, I could tell he was really nervous because he took a picture before us, and his hand was shaking so bad. And I put my arm around him, and I had my arm around his shoulder. I could literally feel his heartbeat with my arm on his shoulder. And he was like, "Man, I'm just so nervous. Like, this is so surreal seeing you." I said, "Buddy," I'm just like you. I just like to waterfowl hunt. You just happen to see me on. He's like, "But just seeing you on these YouTube videos and then meeting you in person." And I was like, man, like, it feels weird, to me for somebody to care that much to meet me.
Yeah.
But it was so special at the same time to think, like, sometimes it feels like you're not really making that much of an impact. And then you remember stuff like that, and you're like, dude, even if 100,000 people watch this, but if there's one person that, like, somehow you made a positive impact or changed their life,
right?
If that can't be a motivation when you're, like, feeling worn down or, like, kind of feel like you're going through the motions, to, like, just say, hey, let's go, like, let's giddy up, let's have a good attitude and keep going. Like, if that doesn't motivate you, to want to keep moving forward and like putting your best foot forward every day, I don't know what will, because how cool is that? Like, is that not the coolest thing in the world?
That's
when
why
says
we're
they
doing it,
listen
dude.
to your podcast and
It's an honor, dude.
going to work every day and I listen
unreal,
to your
man.
podcast. Is that not like the coolest thing in the world?
coolest thing.
You know,
thing.
like, so
we met the coolest couple. They're both like 20, and she like freaked me out for a second, and she's just like, "Hey, Joey, like, I seriously love your guys' stuff. Do you have any life advice you could give me?" Like, and I'm like,
amazing.
"Why would you want my life advice, man? I am an idiot." And she's like, "No, seriously, like, life advice, marriage advice, hunting advice, I want it all." So then I ended up talking to them for like 20 minutes, and they are like lasered in on every single word I'm saying. And I started off with, "I'm so dysfunctional." But here's what has worked in my marriage and what hasn't worked. And I'm so glad I did this. And they're just like with a notepad almost. And I'm like, wow, this is surreal for me.
Yeah.
Like, I shouldn't be giving this advice, but thank you. Like, it was an honor.
They wanted to hear it from you.
It was an honor, man.
It's
You
super
know?
cool. And to go
I
back
love to
to
hear
what
that.
you said earlier, right, where you're talking about what the most important part of hunting is and like why you're out there and those sunsets and the 2 gad walls, and everybody that comes up and says that they listen to the podcast and wants to meet us and talk about it, the story that they tell us, all those guys, none of them are about a great hunt. Every one of them is like, yeah, and then this guy right here, he pooped in his waders, and then we were, then the boat flipped over, and, we didn't shoot any ducks, and that's every single person, that's the stories we hear, and I always try to, like, take a good account of that, because I remember being in Texas a couple years ago, too, and we were having a terrible hunt, and this dog, this goose comes in, we shoot it, and it kind of sails, right? And there was cows in the back half of this field. We were at Dry Creek, and so the dog gets released, and these guys were there hunting, and they had come in from South Carolina. They send the dog goes and gets the goose, and it's a young dog, and there's cows in the field. So this dog, as soon as he gets the goose, he sees the cows. So now he's chasing cows all over this field, but he's still got the goose in his mouth. So we're now all running after this dog, trying to get this dog back.
Hilarious.
He's still got the goose for like a mile of running.
Oh my god.
And, we're sitting there, and these guys are like laughing their asses off. And I'm like, we had 3 great hunts here, but I promise you when we leave,
Remember
this
that
will
one
be
the
the story
most.
they're going to tell everybody.
That's so true, man. Like, it's funny. People will ask, be like, "Oh, what was the best hunt of the season? Was it the one that you killed, 140 double, or was it when y'all shoot out the all greenheads or whatever?" And it's like, it's never those hunts.
No.
Like, it's never the ones that
They're great.
maybe
They're
on
great.
maybe on paper the best hunt.
Yeah.
But like the most memorable or my favorite, it's never.
Totally.
Almost never.
My favorite
that's
hunt
so right.
last year, Cal and I built a pontoon blind. Bought a pontoon for $250, and then we framed a blind on top of it, brushed it in the guy's driveway. It's a little private pond, and my wife was pregnant, and she's like, "Hey, I really need you to watch Aziza today. Like, I have to go and do this and do that." And I was like, "I'll just take her hunting." So I brought her into the pontoon blind with my dog. Didn't shoot a single bird, but every flock of geese that flew over, she's like, "Dad, Gaka?
Yeah.
Is it a goose? Is goose?" And she was just like yucking it up so hard, just good dog, just slapping the shit out of the dog because she has no control.
That's awesome.
And I'm just like, I didn't shoot a single bird, but she's wearing chainsaw earmuffs, stomping around, eating snacks.
Being
And I was
loud
just
as
like,
hell.
the circle of life of like, I did that with my dad, and he brought us out in the blind all the time, and I was just like,
beat it.
I finally get to do this with my kids. It was so surreal. Oh, I loved it.
Yeah, man.
Anytime I get a chance to take my son, it doesn't matter. The result is, now we did have one last year where we really got them good, and when they get to go along on one like that, and they really get to see it all come together, and why we're actually out there. I mean, I can sit here and say we don't go out there to kill them, because we do. I'm just saying you can still enjoy it when you don't kill them.
Yeah.
But when it comes together like that, and you got the little one with you, and you get them, and they get to see the whole, see the birds, work the birds, kill the birds, retrieve the birds, the whole process,
Right.
and you get to do that 15 or 20 times.
Yeah.
That's cool. I think, the fire can certainly be lit without going, and I think it's good for every kid to get their ass kicked for a while, because I think it really makes you appreciate the good ones, because I think if you just grow up badass public land and you just stomp them all the time, it's
Totally.
like,
The bar's set pretty high.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think the appreciation probably is quite there, but when you go out and you get your butt stomped for a while, and then you see the whole thing come together, and see the light bulb go.
You appreciate it so
This is
much.
why you wake up at 3:00 and you go through the work and you trudge through the mud.
Yeah,
I've noticed that there's a lot of guys in the industry that we've interviewed and talked to, and then obviously you like talk to them after the podcast for like an extra half hour and whatever, because we have everybody come to our house because we really like doing it in person. It's just more of it's a better podcast in our opinion. And so many people I've talked to where they have a son or they have a daughter and they don't hunt, and I'm like, what happened? Like, why don't they? And they're bummed out about it. And they're just like, well, I think I just went too hard and I think I pushed him too hard or whatever. And it's like, so I'm taking all that into account because I want to make sure that my kids do want to come out and hunt with me,
Pick
and
good weather days,
bring good
and you know the
snacks.
weather's going to be right. Man, pick good weather. Make sure they're not cold. You don't want them out there freezing their butts
Way
off.
more snacks than
Plenty
you
of
think you
snacks
need.
and some toys. Give them some toys and let them play with some toys in the blind. So that's amazing, man.
I love how much I didn't realize how much Greg came with you on those trips, and that got me so pumped. And I'm trying to get my dad to come out with me more too. But like, your dad is a gem, bro.
He's hilarious, man.
He's so cool.
He's such a shit talker, dude. Like he talks so much shit. Like he's the guy that
Tell me he's ragging on Jordan
I
and
tripled
Jake.
right there. I tripled, and I'm like thinking in my head, like I know good and well, like I know that I shot 2 of them. Like I got a shot cam. I'm like, you want to do you need to see my shot? Like you did not triple right there, pal. But like he's that
Run
guy,
the footage back.
3 for 3. Oh, did y'all see that? But he is the life of the party. He's hilarious, man. But to be able to get to do some of these hunts with my dad still is just great. And I hope we're on the right track to where my kids want to do the same thing with me someday. So.
Guys, this podcast is also sponsored by Flashback Duck Decoys. And let me tell you something about these decoys. They are so realistic, and the ducks honestly go crazy over them. We were fortunate enough to hunt over them in Arkansas, and you would think with the duck head going through the body that it wouldn't work and it would get stuck. But let me tell you, these things are so well built in America.
Yeah.
And the parts the parts are so easily replaced and everything, so you'll never have to buy a new one. You can just replace a part here and there 30 years down the road. But when it got stuck, it would still make ripples on the water, and it looks so realistic. And honestly, the ducks loved it. So I'm so pumped to be working with these guys just because it's such a good butt feeder decoy. Like, it's just so good, guys.
Creates so much rippling in the water too, which is my favorite thing. And then they have a trip mechanism in it so that if it does get caught in the weeds, it doesn't just like keep tangling itself. It'll actually just continually trip the head till you go out and fix it.
Right,
it's unbelievable.
But even when it's doing that, it's still putting ripples on the water.
That's the thing, yeah.
Which is
They're
great.
awesome. So go check them out. Flashback Decoys. You can find them at duckcreekdecoys.com. To go back and answer all the way back to the original thought, I think, is your dad your biggest kind of mentor to get into hunting? No, that's good,
I forgot
man.
to totally even answer that.
Yeah.
I would say he would have to be. As far as like learned from, Dad just wasn't like a really experienced hunter or anything. He knew the foundation of hunting.
Yeah.
But no, Greg wasn't really just like really experienced or did a lot of like the public land stuff. So I didn't learn any of that stuff from him. The love and the fire was set, the tone was set by him. But the education and the knowledge for the public land and just going out and getting after it, pretty much did all that on my own with my friends. And then of course, everything I've learned, since traveling and, about geese, and which, I learned about specs in Arkansas. We have specs, but learning about Canada geese, big Canada geese, little Canada geese, how to kill them, hunting out west, central flyway, doing the deal. I learned all that, from different people traveling and picking up tidbits of stuff that, worked in some places but didn't work at times, and seeing who like was really good and really successful, kind of how they go about their business. And your learning curve is pretty insanely accelerated, when you're consistently hunting with guys that do it for a living. And after about, honestly, by the middle of like the second year traveling, I felt
you were going on like 20 trips plus a year.
Felt pretty confident that easily could go anywhere and apply, the same things that I had learned. But a lot of people, you can spend a lifetime and not get that knowledge because you might not hunt with people that quite have that knowledge, or you think you actually know a lot and
Yeah.
you really don't, you know?
Yeah.
This sport is very humbling.
Yeah.
It's extremely humbling.
You know, like in sports, like you think you're good playing in your little town or your high school, and then you go off to college or you get drafted even, you know, further.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh
shit.
I wasn't near as good as what I thought I was. When you actually get around people that are really, really good.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so learning curve was greatly accelerated there. But, Dad lit the fire for sure. But, man, everything from that point forward, especially in Arkansas, I was on my own. You know,
that might speak back to what you were talking
research.
about, though, you know, with like people talking about like, oh, they went too hard and they kind of pushed them into it. And that happens with sports, too. You know, when parents, it's not so much about like, let's have fun and go, hey, you need to be weight training, you know, you need to be doing this. Let's get up tomorrow and let's
Your
go
ego
run.
Gets
and
involved.
Yeah, man, for sure. So that's probably relates back. It's probably a big part of the reason that you fell so far in love with it.
Maybe.
You know, and I think the other end of it too is it's really important for people to have that success that they find. You know, where like you're out there and you feel like you're able to go and figure some stuff out, and it's not perfect. You know, it's wrong and you're screwing stuff up still. But if one thing you did different today worked, that lights that fire again.
Fires you up.
I was green as hell, man.
Yeah.
I mean, growing up, I mean,
what do you guys call them? Top water?
Top water. Yeah, just a hell of a top water, you know. But and man, at times I'll see people post in the Facebook group. Somebody will ask for advice, and sometimes some of these suggestions that you read, you're just thinking like, man,
No.
don't do that.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna go on there and like be like, no,
He's
you're
wrong.
I'm never gonna do that. I'm not gonna like undercut somebody like that. But if I was in person talking to him, I'd be like, man,
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't do that. You know, like I wouldn't do that. But sometimes you read these suggestions online, not even our Facebook, you just any of them, or any thread that you come across.
Hardcore waterfowl or whatever.
Sometimes you see some advice that you're thinking like, ooh, you know, this guy just doesn't know any other way. In his mind, he thinks, but nah, that
Well,
ain't
he's done it
you
the
know.
same way his entire
right.
life, and it might work in his area. Cool,
yeah.
but like 99.9% of the area, no.
I mean, there was things we did in Arizona in late January last year with a panel blind and had a little ghillie on it and set 10 yards off the decoys, and they were landing in front of us with 6 spinners out, landing, like putting their butts in the wheat. And I was like,
This would never work
you
anywhere
could not
else.
do this anywhere.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
if
man.
you try, like these birds would literally like fly over at 120 and be like laughing at you.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, but what works in some places,
Yeah, and that's all over. You know, that's all over. There's different nuances.
I
to all
started
the
shutting
different
my
places.
mouth. Where I'm like,
Totally.
I've been humbled so many times where I'm like, that's not going to work. And they're like, stop. And I was like, okay. And then I look and I'm like, wow, okay.
and to their credit, if it works their day in and day out consistently, there's no reason to do anymore.
No,
like
why
why would we go out and spend an hour like trying to brush up a blind and cut and brush when we don't even have to do that?
Let
you
me
know?
teach
Like,
you
we
how
can
to
just
hunt
set
your
up a
spot.
blind. Yeah,
No,
exactly.
I'm not going
No,
to do that.
I'll never do that either. When we're on the road, it is not our dance floor. It is their opportunity to be a hero or their opportunity to be a zero. Now, I have had people in the past that either after a hunt or mid hunt, if we're struggling, they
What's
might
happening?
what's happening, or what do you think we should do, or maybe, hey, what's somebody up the road? How are they doing? Like after a hunt, or what are they doing different? And I'm glad to share my experiences and what I think we could be doing if somebody asks or want to know. But I will never ever interject myself into somebody else's hunt. We're there to capture the content, the media, do our thing. If somebody wants help or ask, we'll do it. But otherwise, this is your dance floor, and you can either be the hero or the zero.
I got one more thing for you. We're just over an hour. I don't know if it's in the past or if it's still, but I always love to hear who people looked up to when they're growing up in waterfowl, or if you still have someone that you would love to meet or get together and hunt with that you've never had the chance to, or maybe you've already hunted with them and you're still kind of like, holy shit. Who is that?
There's nobody in waterfowl hunting that's that guy for me. I was such a sports kid growing up, so I could name 100 sports figures that I'd be like, whoa, that was amazing. I mean, we were at the Twins game last night, and they were doing a Hall of Fame induction, and I was a lefty, kind of undersized lefty change-up guy growing up, and I was wildly obsessed with Johan Santana.
Yeah.
Sure.
And he was out there on the field with Joe Mauer and a few of these other guys. Joe Mauer's a catcher, so he wasn't relatable. But even the adult in me, I mean, I pitched in the big leagues and played with some of the best in the game. Carlos Correa was our shortstop. Jose Altuve was our second baseman. Played with absolute guys. Justin Verlander.
Yeah.
And I see Johan Santana out there on the field, and like this soft part of my youth is like, seeing
Holy
him
shit.
at 46, 47 years old,
yeah.
and I'm like, that was my idol. Like,
Yeah,
Johan
that's that
Santana.
guy right there.
Santana was a big deal, dude.
So I was, to answer your question, I was that captivated with those sports guys. So there was nobody in waterfowl. I mean, there's plenty of guys I would like to hunt with, share a blind with, of course. But as far as just be like, whoa, this is surreal. For me, it was the sports guys for sure.
Yeah.
I saw a meme the other day. It was so funny. It's like nobody will understand the connection that every young athlete had with a very mediocre baseball player or something.
Jake Radke.
I mean, it's hilarious. Everybody, or whether it's NFL or NBA, like everybody's got that that person that was like, and they probably were better than mediocre, but everybody has that connection with that person. I mean, Johan Santana was a Cy Young Award winner.
Yeah.
He was far from mediocre. Randy Johnson, loved him. One of the best ever to do it. But that was so funny to me because I remember at home, you'd play and you'd be like, all right, now to bat. Like some random, middle of the lineup type of dude, you know?
Totally.
And so, yeah, I've definitely got some sports guys that I'd love to share a blind with.
It's incredible, that you say that because, I grew up all obsessed with sports too. So, when you say that, I'm like, Wally Zerbiak.
Isn't that funny?
Jake Radke.
Isn't that hilarious, though? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just wild. Those guys weren't, all-star really type players. They're never, Hall of Fame
gritty,
dude, really.
hard-nosed dudes.
Yeah, it's just Wally Zerbiak. Man, he wanted every ball on the floor. You're just that guy, dude. So, I vibe with that, and I just feel that so much.
I love it.
It's just hilarious.
What about you guys? Who's somebody that you'd be like, whoa, this is wild, sharing a blind with?
I've always wanted to hunt with Ira. Bad. And then Kirk McCullough was a huge one for me.
Yeah, definitely.
I was fortunate enough to grow up hunting with Tim Grounds.
Amazing.
And it was just amazing, dude. And so but I didn't realize Tim Grounds was famous until I was 16 years old, just because he was around so much. And then I realized holy shit, Kelly Powers came to our lodge all the time. Tim Grounds was there all the time. Fred Zink came there when he was 18. There's all these pictures of all these people. Sure. Jim Ronquest would hunt with them all. I'm just
that's awesome.
I want to be old enough and be back in that time to hunt with those guys because that would be insane.
Definitely. Some OGs for sure. Kirk.
I mean, I grew up a sports kid too, man. So for me, a lot of those things idols that I would look at and be like, oh man, that guy is so cool. I'd love to hunt with that guy. There are probably a lot of sports guys. I would say though, getting into hunting more, now, I think for me, it's more being in this side of it. I really feel like we get a good perspective on who is a student of the game.
Sure.
Okay. So for me, I would say I haven't hunted with Scott Trinan. And I would love to hunt with Scott, just being able to
hunt,
soak in how much knowledge he has just watching the way they're flying and understanding if they're even interested or not. Or another guy that I've grown to just really respect is Joe Hines.
Sure.
I mean, he's obsessed and he really wants to know what they're going to do. And he's a very diligent hunter.
Sure.
And being able to hunt with Joe would be a treat for me. And those are guys that I'm friends with, and hang out with, talk to them all the time, but haven't hunted with them yet. So I think that perspective probably gives me a little different outlook. But Sean Stahl and anybody who's just really, really a student of the game.
Absolutely,
I think just a lot of respect for that.
Definitely all good waterfowl hunters for sure. No doubt.
For sure, man.
Dude,
well, this has been amazing.
For coming on.
Absolutely, man.
Unbelievable.
I'm glad we were able to work it out. I mean, Cal tried to screw it up.
I did. 100%. Left everything at home.
No, I'm just messing.
We are losing our minds a little bit, so we'll take a week and try and just chill.
This is great music.
Thank you.
We end this way because you can't be mad.
I had such a bad day one day, and my world was melting, and I'm like, oh my god. And then I was scrolling on TikTok, taking a poop, and I see Becky G, if you know who she is, and she's dancing in her tour trailer to the song, and I'm like, I've heard this song before. So then I find the song, and you can't not smile listening to this song.
Yeah.
Carter, can we get it a little bit louder, please? You really cannot not
You
smile.
can't be mad.
Dude, I gotta go get some fajitas, dude. You hit that little, they walk out of the kitchen with them steaming, and you're like, they're yours, and you hit that little lean back, dude. and everybody in the
Thank you.
restaurant's like, they're trying to see where that steaming. Dude, is that not a fact?
That is a
They walk
fact.
out of the kitchen. It's like a parade.
You're like this on
And
your
you
buddy.
know,
Like,
or what about when you think it's your fajitas and you hit that little lean
Oh,
and they shortstop you at the table?
that's depression. It's like, damn it.
I want those so
that not
bad.
true? Is that not
oh
a
my
fact?
gosh,
And
bro.
then you hit him with the gracias.
Or the worse, gracias.
Yeah.
Hit him with the little accent. But dude, thank you so much. I
Absolutely.
can't believe it took this long. We need to get to hunt together,
Yes.
and we should do this again. I know there's a bunch of stories that we can drag out of you.
I'm
if we
hunting
give
with
you
you
a
on
little
the
time to
first,
think
bro.
about it.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
All right,
I'm coming
let's
this
go.
year.
He's
I'm
like,
coming
"Damn it,
this year.
It's not a small group anymore.
All right. Let's do it.
All right, man.
right.
Thank you. Appreciate
All right,
it. One more thing, by the way.